Nitro is the glory, right, Keenan?
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and this week's podcast is all about this awesome race that happened this past Easter weekend in England, the DXR Dirt Kings race 2019. Myself, Jeff, and Joseph, we talk about the race. We weren't there. Joseph has been to this race many times before, so he knows the dirt. He knows how things work. We do a recap of it from what we watched on RC Racing TV, who brought some awesome coverage. I then get Lutz on, who's freshly at home. He got home, I believe, the night before. Get some rest and talk to him about his thoughts and opinions on the race and how he feels going into Las Vegas. We also have the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment with myself and Joseph. And we have, as usual, the JQ Racing Rant. Now, there's no fastraceshop.com 10 questions, 10 seconds segment this week because we did that with Lutz before. I know a lot of people thought Kyle McBride was going to be on this podcast, but we could not coordinate a time in time to do a good release for this podcast. So he'll be on later on this week, and we will release a podcast with Kyle McBride before he heads out to the RCGP. So it's interesting times going on in RC. We took a week off last week from podcasting. I was a bit, it was Easter. I didn't really, there was no real news going on. I kind of wanted to wait until after this race to talk about it. So I took a break. And there was no podcast last week. There will be some weeks where there are no podcasts. Just want you guys to know that a lot of time goes into coordinating these podcasts and editing them and putting them together for you guys. But, the support that we get, the support that I get from people is overwhelming and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you to all of our supporters. The Facebook page is growing daily. I think we're almost up to 1,600 likes. Thank you for all the people that send messages of support. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to all my, I got to thank to all the JQ drivers who support us worldwide. We're doing good things. Keep up the good work. Adam Freaky won in Malaysia the other day, this weekend. And Storm done well in the Netherlands. Things are going good, man. Racing's happening. People are racing and, it's good to see. Summer's coming. I said spring now. So temperatures are warming up and, the trees are green, the grass is green, and people are racing. So it's always good. Thank you to our sponsors. They are fastraceshop.com, Fast Race. Go to fastraceshop.com. And when you check out with your order, type in Lefty 2019 and you get 10% off your order. Thank you to Brent Densford, Assault RC, for the Invisible Speed segment. Check out Assault RC. You also type in Lefty 19 and you get 10% off your order there. And obviously, thank you to JQ Racing, who brings us the rant, because at JQ Racing, we do what we want and so should you. So that's why they're the sponsors of the rant. Also, I want to shout out and say thank you to Brent Densford, Beach RC, JQ Racing USA distributor, as well as Donuts Racing, over there in France, and the UK guys, Andrew Rennick at Model Tune. Congratulations to Scott Walker. He's the new UK rep over there. Also, congratulations to Bradley Beard. He was the only JQ at the DXR race, and he done pretty well. I think he made the quarterfinals. He just missed out making to the semis, so good job, Bradley. Great job. Yes. So good racing this weekend. We got some great racing coming up next weekend, the first round of RCGP in Manila. I'm excited. The track looks awesome. It's going to look even better by next weekend. We also have SilverState coming up. I found out yesterday that I'll be going to that. So I'm excited about that. Going to be good to watch some good racing. Unfortunately, SilverState and RCGP are on the same weekend, but I'll be watching both. One live and one on the online on my phone, most likely. So super excited about that. We'll have probably do a starting grid podcast with our pre-raced podcast for the RCGP coming out next week sometime. And there will be a podcast released before I go to Vegas. So good stuff. We continue to try to bring the best content that we can for you guys. I know sometimes, I don't know how you guys keep listening to my voice droning on, but hey, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. Also, we have a new segment that will start when I get back from Vegas. So I was thinking of a way that we can get more people involved in our podcast. Like, I can't really do call-ins because I kind of, it's impossible. I live in the Dominican Republic. People can't call me in. I do these interviews. Sometimes they're 6 a.m. Sometimes they're 1 a.m. Sometimes it's the middle of the day. So it's hard to do call-ins. So I was thinking of a way that I can have you, the listeners, the guys who are out there racing, club racing and having fun and the backbone of RC. I was thinking of a way that I could get you guys more involved in the podcast and give you guys a platform to talk about RC. So I was like, how can I do this? And I came up with this idea, and it's going to be called the Grassroots Racer Spotlight or segment or Spotlight. So basically the point of this segment is to talk to you, the average racer, the guy who's out there, working 9 to 5, racing every weekend, or, who's out there putting in laps, having fun, enjoying this hobby. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So I'm not going to announce the sponsor of this yet because it's actually going to be a competition and it starts. So I'm not announcing the sponsor. You guys have to guess who the sponsor is. So this is how it's going to work. You figure out who the sponsor is. When you listen to this podcast, send me a message who you think the sponsor is. Or even, better, let's do it where you put it in the comments. Whoever guesses right will get one of the No Name RC podcast car stands from JBRC Designs. My buddy Josh Boham. Now, this does not go out to my close friends and family and JQ drivers because most of them probably know who the sponsor is. Well, not most of them, but I know, but it's really going to surprise you guys who the sponsor is, and I want you guys to figure it out. So I'll announce it once you guys let me know who you think it is, and you can win one of those awesome car stands. But enough about that. Let's talk about what the actual segment is about. I know I skip around things, so please, I'm sorry. My train of thinking I get kind of knocked off track sometimes. So the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. If you have Skype and you're not scared, like you want to say something about RC, something that's on your mind, you want to tell us about what you do in RC, why you like RC, then how it's going to work is basically you can contact me or I'll contact you. If you got Skype, we can set up a time, and I basically just want to chat to you guys about why you like RC, what you want to see happen in RC, where do you race, what tracks do you like, who's your favorite drivers, stuff like that. I want to know this. I want to give you guys a platform to talk on this podcast. So it'd probably be about a 15-20 minute segment, depending on how much you want to talk. If something's pissing you off in RC, you can say it. Like, this is for you guys, the listeners, the supporters of the podcast, the people who are, the supporters of the manufacturers, the supporters of these drivers. I want to hear what you guys have to say because, this podcast is for you guys. So now you get a chance to talk about it. So if you're interested in being a part of this segment, we'll do one per podcast. We can, you hit me up on Facebook Messenger or send a message to the Facebook page or to my personal Facebook page. We set up a time and a date, and then we record and talk about RC. Maybe it's a race that you went to this weekend and you really enjoyed, or maybe it's your local track you want to talk about, So this is the point of this segment. I think it's going to be really fun. Hopefully one day, maybe we can do call-ins. but at this point, it just isn't possible. So the Grassroots Racer Spotlight segment. Get ready. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We're going to start it after I come back from Vegas. So if you want to be involved in this, please shoot me a message. We're looking to do one each podcast. So we got one podcast per week for the rest of the year. So we got another 30 plus segments to do. So hit me up if you think this is a good idea. You want to be a part of it. If you want to say something about RC, contact me and we will make it happen. So remember, this is for the guys out there who are racing, putting in the work, working Monday to Friday, going to these races. They're going to these races after Friday. They're racing all weekend. This isn't for like super fast guys or these guys who are like sponsored by everybody and whatnot. This is for the backbone of the industry, the club racer, the guys who go to these big races who like, sleep 4 guys to a hotel or 5 guys to a camper and just go to these races to have fun. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So if you think it's a great idea, hit me up, and you want to be a part of it, contact me. And remember, if you can guess who the sponsor of this segment is, you get one of the car stands. So listen to this podcast, answer in the comments, and then I'll contact you privately, whoever wins. The first person to say the name of the sponsor will win a car stand. Well, enough of me rambling on. Let's get into this podcast. First, we have the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. We did record the recap before I talked to Lutz, so I'll probably put that second. And then we talked to Lutz. I talked to Lutz this morning. So do enjoy. Please like and share and continue to support us. If you wish to support us a little further and go the extra mile, you can at patreon.com//thequagrain. Every little bit helps. And hey, man, you guys enjoy the podcast. And hey, get ready. We got a lot of great racing coming up in the next few months. Racing is going to be great. So thank you all and enjoy. We're going to go into the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment.
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
So, welcome to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. This is the segment dedicated to setup. If you have any setup questions, please post them in the Facebook group, the No Name RC Podcast Facebook group. This week's question comes from Eduardo Rossi, and he wants you to talk about anti-squat, Joseph. Why some use minimum anti-squat and why do people use maximum or more anti-squat? What can you tell us about anti-squat?
Anti-squat. Okay, so it's actually a good setup change to do because I feel like it has a noticeable effect on the handling of the car. So it's a good thing to change. What anti-squat does is it works when you get on power. Well, it mostly works when you get on power and weight is transferred towards the back of the car. So normally what happens is the load distribution, what am I trying to say here? So the weight, when you accelerate, moves onto the rear of the car, which means that the rear suspension will compress. And the anti-squat is fighting this compression. So it stiffens up the suspension. It doesn't let it compress as much. But then when you are just, rolling over a bump, the suspension will be just as soft as you set it. So it's a way to get a stiffer suspension feel only in certain situations. So only when you are on power. And this means that if you're on a very bumpy track and you find that the rear end of the car isn't handling the bumps very well, then it makes sense to reduce the anti-squat because it will soften up the suspension and it will go over the bumps better. But then because the rear end will be squatting more, you're sort of losing a bit of time when you want to accelerate and have the, fastest possible acceleration out of corners. And if the track is smooth, then you just want to accelerate as fast as possible. You're not worried about bump handling. So then you could add some more anti-squat, and you'll actually have more acceleration. Another benefit to more anti-squat is that you'll have more steering, especially, I think, going into corners, you can feel that. And so you'll have more steering, more acceleration, and actually the car will jump a bit more too. So I would say more anti-squat when the track is smooth, especially if the track is high bite, and the car wants to squat a lot. Not only would you change, harder springs or harder sway bars, but you could also add anti-squat to help keep the car more flat and not the suspension not moving so much. So high grip, smooth track, more anti-squat. Low grip, bumpy track, less anti-squat. That's like the rule of thumb to use. And I think different drivers prefer different amounts of anti-squat too. So it's not quite as simple as that, because some drivers prefer the feeling of the car when it's soft and even on a higher grip track, and they just prefer how it drives. And other drivers prefer the opposite, or maybe on a slippery, bumpy track, some drivers may actually prefer a car that has some anti-squat in it. They don't like it when it gets too soft. So yeah, it's one of these things that affect the car a lot, and I think most drivers make changes to it at the different tracks they go to. So definitely something worth trying and learning to know which settings you like. Yeah, that's it.
Is that all you need to say about anti-squat?
I think so.
Okay. Well, thank you, Eduardo Rossi, for your question. I hope that answers some of the questions that you might have and some of the questions others might have about anti-squat. Remember, if you have a question for Joseph that you want him to talk about on setup, go to the No Name RC Podcast Facebook page. We have, I'll post it up again so it's more fresh or more up to the top of the Facebook page. It's got an Assault RC emblem there, and there you can post your questions. And remember, if you're looking to get some cool 10 scale swag or some cool widgets and fidgets, go to assaultrc.com, type in Lefty19, and you will get 10% off your order. Thank you, Assault RC, for bringing the Invisible Speed segment to our listeners. And thank you, Joseph, for your knowledge.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Smith from the TSR Speed Shop, and you're listening to the No Name Podcast with hosts Keenan White and JQ. Is that Jackass on this show? Forget this.
So what's up, everybody? I hope you had a happy Easter. We're back off our 1 week break that we took. What's going on, Jeff? How are you?
I am doing fan-freaking-tastic. Just hanging out in sunny Florida.
Yeah.
Chilling.
And Joseph, how are you? You survived the earthquake, unfortunately.
I did survive. But I only survived because I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I didn't get to.
No, not joking, but
I wish you were in that freaking pool that overflowed out of that high raise. That would have been awesome to see little JQ flying out of that.
I saw the video and I was actually wondering what it would be like to be in that pool. Probably pretty scary.
Yeah. Did you actually tell the people to stop vacuuming, because I heard them doing it again?
I did.
Yeah, they didn't understand what you said.
Yeah, there must be some sort of
communication problem.
Yeah, there's a language barrier.
Yeah,
Let me just go and check on this situation.
Apparently Joseph can't handle his help very well.
But
you know the brand's doing awesome when he has a maid service come in and clean his 400 square foot apartment.
For those that don't know, they had a 6.3 earthquake in Philippines. When was it? Sunday? I think it was. Yeah. That was a pretty strong earthquake, so.
I know. My question is it going to affect the race for the RCGP? Is it going to lower attendance for the race?
Well, I don't think so. I think people's like, we're going to go anyway. I don't think. Most of these people are used to traveling and stuff like that, so,
Traveling.
They should be all right.
Earthquakes and hurricanes.
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with being in an earthquake. All right, so we've been recording all this time while Joseph went and got his vacuum issues solved. We was talking about the earthquake, so, yeah. But we're here to do a race recap on the DXR Dirt Kings race that took place over this Easter weekend, with the final happening on the main finals happening on the Monday, which is a holiday in England. So if you didn't see this race, you can go onto RC Racing TV and watch it. They have I think they have the individual final up. I haven't checked the website of the YouTube channel, sorry. But if you haven't watched this race, you should go watch it, because it's probably one of the best races I've seen. Period. And I'm gonna say that. And I've watched quite a few races, but definitely one of the best races I've seen in a long time. Would you guys concur with that?
I would definitely. When we talk about the final itself, there's some highlights I want to cap that I was like laughing my ass off when some shit happened, when some stuff went down. So
okay,
but I agree. I think the race itself was good.
How about you, Joseph? The final?
Yeah, I mean, I watched LCQ and the main, and they were both really good. Mm-hmm. So exciting, and there was a lot of funny stuff that went on in the race. We
definitely need to have more LCQs in RC racing. It makes for a great race. Really does.
Well, that goes back to my whole thing too before about having less people qualify in the main and more people bump up.
Mm-hmm.
See, it promotes more racing. The LCQ just promotes more racing.
Yeah, people want to get that one spot. It was a great race, man, to the very end. And who was it that went up? La Pavot from the Channel Islands. So,
not to mention the shorter races, provide better racing too.
Oh,
yeah, just like the 45-minute main wasn't exciting at all. That's right.
But we'll talk about that in a bit.
I'm happy we proved that dumb theory wrong.
One time, I even told Lutz, I was like, Lutz, you really screwed me on this one, because you either needed to win by a lot or lose by a lot, but you made it an interesting race, so you suck.
Yeah.
It was a really great race. Congratulations to Ryan Lutz. He did a great job. It was an epic battle between him and Ongaro. And even Canas got there in the end. He was a little bit behind.
I don't know. Canas, I just don't know how. I mean, he crashes his brains out and does the most, complete brain farts out there on the track, and then he's still there somehow.
Yeah, he's fast. He's talented.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So let's go through my little list here I have first. As you guys know, this is in the Harper Adams. It's where the old Neo race used to be. The last race there was 2017. Ongaro won it with quarter of a wing, I guess.
That's when he booted. That's when he booted Mayfield.
Fenced Mayfield. Fenced
wall.
Yes, as Nick Damon says, he's fenced Mayfield. So that's an epic quote. Ongaro won that. Then they had the next Neo at Rendavon in Spain that you was at, Joseph and Max. And now the Neo race is gone. Phil's not doing it anymore. And the DXR are the actual guys that used to build the track for Phil at this race. So they decided to put on a race at the same place in Harper Adams, which is an agricultural university in England. In the middle, I don't know where it is. It's in Telford somewhere, but if it's of an agricultural university, it's probably in the middle of nowhere out there. And it was a great event, the same dirt. The atmosphere was the same, but we're going to start with the track because this was a very busy track. You could not run. If I would have been at this race, I would have sucked because it was just too much for me to do for my little paralyzed left hand to do that all that throttle brake stuff. I would have just sucked at this race. But I didn't like the track at first, but once it came in, it made for some good racing. It was hard to pass. So we'll start off with you, Jeff. What did you think of the track?
I liked the track. I thought the track was good. It was busy, but I think the track early on would have really sucked when the traction was low and it was hard to make jumps and the cars were real loose. But they ran so many freaking qualifiers. By the fourth qualifier, I think the track really started coming in and the lap times really dropped. That's when Ongaro started making its 14 lap runs. So by then the track looked fun. I would be all about it. But outside of that, it was definitely busy and it looked fun. And I would have liked to drive it.
And you, Joseph, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought the track was 80% awesome. It actually reminded me of how I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the whole DXR JQ beef started because of some track features, and this track had it. So it was many years ago that I had some constructive criticism about the track, and that's when the DXR boys started hating on me. You saw how they hated on me.
Constructive criticism.
You saw how they hated on me.
You having beef with somebody?
Confirmed not to attend, and all that stuff. So anyway, if you looked at this track, awesome chicane after the front straight. You have to brake, you dip down, you skip into a chicane, kind of land sideways, and then you go into that bomb hole, do the big jump. Then there's a hip jump, you whip over that. Then there's a single into that tight corner, off camber, down some steps. That steps were causing some drivers a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looked awesome.
The steps were a hit and miss. If you had the good line, it was good.
Yes.
Yeah. The steps were like whoops in Supercross. I loved it. It looked like you have to place the car correctly, hit it at the right speed, right throttle control. It looked awesome. Big jump into this bomb hole thing, boom almost. So it wasn't a flat corner. You land and then the corner, the left hairpin is angled upwards. It just looked awesome. Then you jump into a face of a jump, skip over the next one, high speed into a tight right-hand corner, step up, down into a chicane section. And then that long boom, off camber corner. Ongaro was so fast in that, the end of that, just slingshot out of that, everything amazing so far. And then it's the 20% before the loop. It's did you just run out of steam? What the hell? A flat 90-degree corner. Okay. If it's only that, we can deal with this. Into a flat 180 hairpin around the pipe. Okay. Still
but that's where
I'm losing interest. I'm losing interest, but I'm still here. Short straight into a second hairpin. Okay, now this is really pissing me off at this point. Short straight over the loop, 90-degree onto the straight. It's oh my God. What are you doing? Ruins the whole flow of the track. Just that section. Hairpin. What's the best thing that can happen there? You just get taken out. That's boring. Nothing interesting can happen in a section like that. So anyway, I just dislike sections like that on the track. And this one year, they had these back-to-back hairpin.
I remember that. Do you remember
That's
the year that you done well.
What the hell is this? I came to this Neo, and then you build a track like this. Come on, guys.
Wasn't that the year that you almost won the Dash for Cash or something?
No, that's another year. There was 1 year where it was even worse. And then they didn't even have the kind of typical awesome jumps that everyone likes. So I would just say this was 80% there.
Yeah, but see that 20% that you're talking about, the track was so busy and there was so much going on and your ass is puckered the entire track. You got to be able to release a little bit. And that's where that 20% came in from. You got to be able to
How can you do that in the hairpins? I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is, I know, I get what you're saying, right, Jeff? But you really couldn't, like, you had to cut, like, if you would have went wide, that was one of the best passing places on the track.
And there was no other real major passing thing unless you got out in the dust and your car got upset.
You don't pass in hairpins.
Well, it was one of the places that they were.
I saw a lot of passing through there. Yeah, there was a lot because
Well,
they were blowing that.
Other guy
They were blowing that corner, especially after you came out of that big banked berm thing. That first 90 right there, people were blowing that corner all the time. That was the best place to pass right there. In fact, Lutz passed Ongaro right through there one time.
Actually, that was such a weird part in the main. I thought he broke. I thought Ongaro broke or something. Like, he was all over the place. It was weird.
All right.
That was his tires.
We'll get into the main, but we all agree the track was good.
Yeah.
I think the track was good. You know what I think? I think the pit lane is one of the hardest entrance to ever to ever come up. With that, they have those like where you have to turn, like a chicane almost. Oh man, when you see guys like Lutz making mistakes there and Ongaro,
everybody
it's hard.
did.
Yeah.
Everybody.
You just have to go slower than you expect.
Yeah, you have to. It slows you down a lot. All right, so let's talk about the actual event. This is actually a race that I like to use as an example of how Joseph says it too. You know, when he says we need to get back to these type of races, and this had 207 entries. It only ran nitro buggy. It was no classes. You got 7-minute qualifiers, but you got 3 minutes in between. So it's really you had 10 minutes of runtime pretty much because you got 3 minutes to warm up and start your 7-minute qualifiers. It was 6 of them, so that's an hour of qualifying. You had 5-minute practice stints, Joseph, I think, on the first day.
I think so.
Yeah, so you had 5-minute practice stints. I don't know how long they were, but you got plenty of warm-up time. I think you started at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Everyone got 20-minute mains.
Yes, everyone got 20-minute mains. You started at 8 in the morning. You was out of there by 6 at the latest, so you could go have a meal. You know, there was no marshalling issues. People out there marshalling. They were using high-vis vests, which is one of my pet peeves about races. You need to have that because you need to see these guys out there.
Okay. So all great. All roses, all flowers.
Hey, also, one last thing. They started the racing at 8 or 8:30 in the morning, and they were done by around 6:30.
I said that.
Okay, I get where you guys are all sitting here, you know, saying how great, all this good stuff, but you're missing the one big thing.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah,
what the hell do you need
6
qualifiers? No, what do you need 6 qualifiers for? Nothing changed in those 6 qualifiers. Nothing. Ongaro TQ'd. Lutz was either 2nd or 3rd, and Canas was either 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I mean, there was nothing. Why 6? Like, why not run 4 and then go back to the whole bump more cars into the mains? Start your mains on Saturday and run them all the way through Monday if you had to. Why do you need 6 qualifiers? I don't get that. That's just stupid to me.
It's because the format we run isn't. I mean, the format we run isn't very good for racing, I think, and it's hard to make a format where everyone gets track time and everyone feels like they got to race a lot. If you don't have many qualifiers, that's the way you give people track time, qualifiers. I mean, if you think about it, we spend days practicing, qualifying, and then you race for 20 minutes. And then if you don't bump, that's it. So your actual head-to-head racing was just that 20 minutes. That's why some races where they, shorten the lower mains and it's like 6-minute mains, that's really terrible because you just get 6 minutes of actual race time. So I think it's more so that the way we run our races, the way the formats are now, the way you give drivers value is by adding qualifying, more qualifying rounds, longer qualifiers. So that's what they did. I hope that in the future the formats we use get updated a bit so there's more heads-up racing. and there's more excitement for the racers involved. But as of right now, this is it.
Yeah.
But my question is does it make it better?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it makes it better in the way that you get more run time, more track time. You get to drive more.
Mm-hmm.
You get to compete more. But I don't think it's the best solution.
It's no different from somebody running 3 classes at a different race or more.
I can see that. Yeah, that's true.
But you don't have to worry about gluing up tires for Truggy and gluing up tires for Ebuggy and charging batteries for this and doing that. And you get 60 minutes of let's be realistic. Like, qualifying is quality track time as well. It's not just going out there and practicing. You're actually racing yourself. You know, it should be better. You should be racing each other, but heads up. But just imagine if you had to, it's no different from running 3. How many classes did you run at PNB? Did you have 4?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Okay,
People always cry about money. So just racing one class and racing it for longer and more times is a lot cheaper than racing multiple classes.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. All right. Well, let me ask you this question then. At Neo, when Neo was running that race, there was always this big conspiracy about tire saucing and all that stuff. How come we didn't hear any of those conspiracy theories at the DXR race?
I think because there weren't enough top drivers there. Like, maybe the sort of right top drivers weren't there. And maybe there were some conspiracies. I didn't hear any.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
So.
Maybe they allowed it.
In the past, you always heard them, though. Like, they were in the forefront. And I watched all this race, and I didn't hear one story about somebody cheating or supposedly cheating or anything like that.
Why don't they don't allow sauce because of what, Joseph? Is there
the agriculture dirt, from what I heard.
Okay. But the nitro...
Maybe that, or maybe they just don't want sauce.
Yeah. But then with the nitro fumes and stuff going in the dirt, like, they get slick, like, you know, all that.
I think it's fine. They allowed sourcing the 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe they didn't really police it at all. Or, you know, I don't know what happened. Like Jeff said, I didn't hear anything about it myself. And I pretty much watched it the whole
last
weekend.
year that Neo had it, they had the freaking sauce police.
Yeah.
You know, and they were confiscating tires and shit. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's what you have to do.
I don't know. But hats off to the DXR crew. It was ran just like Neo. It was no different. Besides, it just wasn't Neo.
Actually, there is a difference, which I was surprised there was. There was no Dash for Cash or Junior race.
No,
correct?
there wasn't. There
or
was no
41st race or anything like that. That's actually strange.
They could have had it too.
Yeah, that would have been a nice addition, I think.
They even had the Ninja.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had a guy walking around in a kilt.
Ninja.
So
E-buggy class.
No E-buggy. You mentioned that,
yeah,
Jeff.
why didn't they at least run E-buggy? That's what I don't get.
Maybe next year. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do it.
They couldn't afford the extra trophies.
Oh gosh. Oh, their trophies were badass. For the ones that I saw with Lutz had, I mean, that was badass. I like that.
Lutz might actually keep it instead of auctioning it off.
Yeah, I think he should keep that one. I'm pretty sure he'll keep it. So,
do you think he will? We need a bet. I don't know if he will or not. We'll see if he does.
No, I think he'll keep that one.
I think, you know what? Whatever sign God gives him, that's what he's gonna do. So
he's gonna. I think he's gonna auction it because that trophy will be the one that'll bring him the most money in his auction. Yeah, because it's going to be the one trophy this year. Well, I mean, up till now, but unless he wins like the Roar Nats or something, it's going to be the one trophy that means the most to him.
Yeah,
I mean, he even said a unique trophy.
Yeah, he even said it in his own little Facebook live post that when he walked back into the pits and everybody was cheering, like he was fucking crying and stuff. So, like, obviously, it was an emotional win for him. So it'll be interesting to see if he sells it.
Yeah, I don't think he will. So we agree that the event was put on well. Kudos to the DXR crew for what they done. I would say they did a great job. It was a great event. The race was run smoothly. It maybe went off schedule a bit, but the schedule was flexible because it didn't have, a whole bunch of entries and whatnot. So they could be 20 minutes off. And RC Racing TV done a great job as usual. And what I like about this is that I think a lot more Americans tuned into this race this year. I think a lot more Americans are starting to get more hip about RC Racing TV, and they're starting to see like things can be different. Like the coverage can be different, the racing can be different, and I think they're starting to learn more about European racers and whatnot as well. So RC Racing TV, Nick Damon and the guys, they did a great job as well. So.
You know the one big difference between live RC and RC Racing TV that I personally appreciate is like live RC, when they're doing their coverage and they're filming the race, right? They typically just stay on the leader, or they're going to stay on the race, that second pack race, right? That it's going to be just one or the other, but the camera guy doesn't pay attention to what the announcers are saying. So the announcers can be talking about the race, the leader, but the cameras guy is going to be filming some other dude on the track, and there's no communication between the two. With RC Racing TV, I mean, they are really good about when the announcer's sitting there talking about a particular car, they're telling them where the car is so that the camera guy can start following that car around.
Yeah.
So they stay more in sync. That's the one big difference between the two that I've noticed.
But, and not only that,
and the Racing TV also, I think they typically scan between different camera angles a lot more.
And I feel Nick Damon actually calls it a race that anybody can listen to. Like you didn't even have to watch the race, and you could listen to him, and it'd be exciting. I think personally.
Well, I agree, and he doesn't show favoritism, right? So it's not a chassis or a brand or a person favoritism. Like if you screw up, he's like, "Oh, you suck," kind of. He has no problem calling a spade, and I like that.
The one thing that we all agree on, we was talking about it before we came on air, was the scoring. Like that's where they dropped the ball. On the scoring, on the live scoring, on the screen, it's a little hard to follow. Live RC is much better because they have the scoring up the top.
Yeah.
And then you have the live scoring that you can follow. But when you went to that website to watch the live scoring, oh man, it was horrible. I know they kind of, I don't know. Do you know anything about that, Joseph, what that scoring comes from or anything like that?
No idea. Actually, I was trying to find it, but I couldn't even find it now.
They use the A and B system, right? They use like A and B transponders and all that there. I believe
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They definitely dropped the ball. I felt like I was back in the 80s, looking at that like on an old Macintosh or something. But at least we had scoring, so it did work, and it had the schedule on there and had results. But definitely Live RC wins that battle right there, and. Maybe I'll talk about this when we get into the actual race. So we'll talk about that later. So we're all in agreement. The event was great. We all agree that the scoring sucked, but the event was great. So that's good. Drivers that impressed you, Joseph. Who impressed you? You know more about the European guys than probably me and Jeff. So who impressed you that probably wouldn't have impressed you a year ago?
Jack Hurst, because I didn't know who he was before this race.
Yeah, he did good. He's young too. He's not. I don't think he's even that old of a guy who's been racing. So he did very well.
What car does he drive?
He drives a HB, I believe.
Yeah, some UK guy, I guess.
Yeah,
Max said he's like more of a 10 scale guy.
Okay, but there was definitely a lot of fast UK guys in there. Yeah, Callum Nisbet. Niblet, sorry. I don't know why I say Nisbet. I actually met him. He was like 13. He was sitting there by himself, just wrenching on his car. I was like, hey, what you doing here? He's, oh, my dad left me here, and I'm just wrenching on my car. It's like, oh, okay.
I remember Callum from a Neo race in Ebuggy. So this race, they had this jump coming onto the front straight. So me and him, we came onto the straight side by side. We did the jump, and he hit me. and fenced me, but he fenced me over the pit lane into his dad's lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because it just happened to be his dad also.
Yeah.
So obviously his dad was watching, and then my car just flew into his lap.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Let me just bring up my list of.
Did you go turn his radio off too?
No. No,
Okay.
it was awesome. I was laughing. It
All
was
right.
Good. Good race.
Before we had James Lapavo. He did well. Oh, I didn't even realize it, but both Kilek brothers made it. Burkan and Borak.
Yeah, maybe now with a new car release, they can actually get on the program and start using the new car.
Yeah.
Still running the older Gamma.
Yeah, and Borak's
I don't get that at all.
Borak's really fast.
I mean, they are. I mean, Agama have a new car that's coming out, right?
Mhm. Yes.
That's not what Lutz was running. Lutz was running the current new car.
Yes.
The Kiliches are running that one before that, like the one that looks like a Losi,
Okay.
or old Losi. So
Okay.
it's kind of funny. Like maybe
Well, I think
maybe they
Lutz
can
is
upgrade now.
Lutz is the only one that has that new car. Because
But I heard that he wasn't running the new car for some reason or whatever.
no, he was because Billy was posting pictures of the new chassis and
Mhm.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the top 15, another couple of young drivers that impressed me were the Dexters from Australia. They did very well. They drove well.
Yeah, I think Dexter would do significantly better if he got a good paint job and put the correct color stickers on his car. I mean, he has a full pink body with green stickers and yellow wheels. And that just, I mean, it just doesn't work. This has been proven time and time again.
But
It's definitely slowing him down. So
but
I think if he could get a decent
What color
paint
wheels
job
does he run?
and have someone kind of help
Yellow.
him with picking the correct sticker color to match his paint job, like someone could hold his hand for that, then I think we would see a huge improvement in his results.
yeah,
So he has a pink body with yellow wheels.
yeah.
Pink body, yellow wheels, and full neon green stickers.
Oh, nice.
They're actually from Australia. Their dad
It
and two
basically
brothers.
looks like it basically looks like you eat a bunch of Skittles and then puke.
But you know him personally,
that's
right?
What it looks like.
You know him personally. You met him in Manila last year, right?
Yeah, and then at the Worlds too.
Okay.
Actually, in the Worlds quarterfinal, he's the guy that cross jumped. I swear I jumped straight, and then I broke my car on the first lap of the quarterfinal.
Yeah, but this is their
Did
first.
you
blame-
turn
I
his
blame
radio
that-
off too?
No, I didn't. No.
That was a
I
pretty
felt
long.
sorry for him because he was running that body
Yeah.
and stickers.
But it's a nice family. It's their dad, his two sons, and their mom. They flew up from Australia just for that race. They did really good. I think both of them drove exceptionally. Ben did better of the two brothers. I think
I think they were in the same main, but he bumped to the semis.
Yeah.
And the brother didn't. Yeah.
Another surprise for me, Lee Martin didn't make the main. That was shocking.
Well, he fenced himself in the.
Yes, he didn't. That was so weird. He just drove into the side of the
He was
pit
like,
lane.
I'm done with this.
He actually came
What
back
car
though.
was he? What car was he running?
I believe he's
I gone like.
yeah, he can't, he doesn't say, but I think it's an Nagama. Bradley Beard done well, the only JQ. He went there with his girlfriend by himself, and he finished. He was 30th, he qualified 30th, and I think he finished around that. So that's a good race. He hasn't been to a really big race in years, so good job to Bradley and the only JQ there. So of course we have to say something about him. So there was some young talent there that did good, man. I mean, young European talent, a lot of young UK guys. I was shocked that
Okay. How about misses? Who was the biggest miss? I say Boots. I expected Boots to do better.
well, he came fifth.
Yeah, I expected him
I
to
mean,
do better. than that.
Boots. Come on, Boots should have won this race. I mean, those guys were crashing their brains out, and Boots has finished. When everyone's been there, he's finished second. Didn't he finish second to Ongaro actually?
Right,
Last
and
time,
he
top
and he
riders.
typically does good on these really high bite tracks.
And he's been good also in the past. I think where he's been right up there, and then he had a flame out or an issue or something. Like I think if he was still on Kyosho, and he knew what was going on, and had the right setup, right tires, everything, that should have been like a obvious win for him. Like normally Ongaro, yes, but with his troubles and everything that happened in the main, Boots should have been right there, and he should have won this race. That's what I think.
thought it was funny. One of the funny things that I saw on the RC Racing TV is when he did his pit walk and he interviewed Boots, and he was making fun of Boots, like, because where Boots was pitting, he could directly see Craddock across the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept making jokes like, do you cry when you look over and you see Craddock at the corner of your eye? Does tears start to fall? And he was making jokes.
No, he said that to Craddock
and you
about
could tell
Boots
was getting like a little uncomfortable about it.
Yeah. But being as we talked about the drivers, let's talk about the final then. We have 15 guys. Obviously, we had Ryan Lutz, Ongaro, Juan Carlos Canas in third, Burak Kilak in fourth, Boots fifth, Figueiredo sixth, Bertone seventh. Bertone, like, he came off that washboard and hit that jump. Like, he jumped into that jump. I thought he broke his car, but that was early on in the race. Johnny Skidmore, he did good. Another Agama Nemo guy, young guy out of England. Neil Craig, who barely races 8 scale. Just comes down there, throws it down, qualifies into the semi, and goes into the final and finishes 9th. He barely races 8 scale.
Who cares about 9th?
I'm just saying, it's still good. And he's probably the oldest guy in this main, I would say. Berkan Kilik, which is Burak's brother. Alex Zanchetin, he made the main. James Lapavo, Callum Niblett, Matt Lewis, and Jack Hurst.
He was the only techno, right? That was the only one techno in the
yeah.
room. Yeah.
So,
Who?
Zanchetin. Well, how do you say his name, Joseph?
Zancatin.
Sorry.
I don't know. I think it's something like that. Hey, you never let me answer the question.
How about what?
What was the question again? Like, who was the failure?
Who is the biggest hit miss?
Oh, sorry.
The biggest miss. Oh, yeah. So I would have to say Lee Martin for I mean, he should have been in the main. Easy. I don't know what happened there. And then another one, Jamie Clancy. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clancy's better than that. Clancy, you should be in the main. What the hell were you doing? Come on, Jamie. He's been practicing in Italy and, been getting track time. I expected a bit more.
I was shocked that he wasn't in there as well. I was shocked. Very shocked.
Did he make the semis?
Yes, he did.
He made the semis.
Yeah.
But he just didn't make the cut. So that's about the IFMAR racing, man. It's you still gotta race to get in. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the final, it comes down to 2 people.
Yes.
3 if you count Canas, but he was still pretty far out of it.
Yes. He
made it interesting after that last pit stop, but then he wrecked. And then
he was in there at an earlier point too, but every time he was there, he just crashed out.
Yeah.
Because I remember earlier in the main too, I was suddenly like, what is this lap traffic guy doing here? And then I look and it's like, holy shit, Canas is leading. Well, there was at some point in the main he was leading also before that.
That's when Lutz and Ongaro pitted. Then he was leading.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, but that's when I noticed that he was so close.
Let's start with the start. Okay, so Ongaro started, got out to a lead, and just was going. And I was like, oh, it's over. He's like, slingshot engaged, let's go. I'm going to start lapping people, and then that's it. But he made one mistake. And that's all it took.
Not just one, dude.
No, the first mistake that he made.
Wait. We got to start before even the start. Lutz called this race before it even happened. And it was all tire. Because Lutz made a comment the night before. He knew what main tire he was going to run. And he was going to run that zip down combination. AK zips in the front, double downs in the back.
Okay, why would you do that?
Because
why not just double downs everywhere?
Because he said he wanted the double downs makes his car too twitchy in the front end, and the zips calm it down. And he wanted the extra tire tread in the rear to go the longevity of the main. And the night before, he even made a comment about Ongaro, that he heard that Ongaro was possibly still going to be running the qualifying tire that they were running, whatever that was. I can't remember what he said.
Typos.
Whatever, yeah, that tire. He's like, I believe Ongario is going to run this qualifying typer in the main, which that's my hope to build. If I can keep it close, then I can be there at the end. And that's what happened. He called it the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So wait, so that the Zips actually has more surface. That the Zips lasts longer. So I think they're both long-lasting tires. It's just that the Zips would have less grip, so it calms the car down, and then the Double Down has more grip for the rear.
Right, but that's what
Lutz was.
That's what Lutz was saying all week. That the front end was too twitchy and the ass end was a little loose.
Yeah. So okay, then that makes sense.
And he ran, and they were long wear super softs, I think is what he said.
And I think Ongaro was on clay.
And Ongario was on clay. Whatever that one tire was.
Typos.
But I mean,
I
I
can see it.
Do that.
And you can see Ongario's car like he did on the start. So now we could go to the start. The start came, and he did. He was pulling away early on. And then he made the one mistake, and then he started to drive a little too hard, and he probably roasted his tires early, and then he was done. His car was hard to drive, and Lutz was just consistent.
But they both made so many mistakes, dude. Like they made same mistakes almost.
My favorite Lutz mistake I could almost feel him on the driver's stand was like. Ongario, I think he pitted. He did a pit stop. Lutz passed him, and then he went over that big step-up jump, and he jumped off the track and landed upside down, and then Ongario passed him again. I was like, that he was so happy because he took the lead. He's leading the race, and then he jumps off the track and then wrecks, and that corner marshal was so freaking slow to get him.
I think Ongaro made up a lot of speed. Lutz made up a lot of speed after the chicane off the back straight, that jump into that jump and then onto the washboard. That's where he made up a lot of speed on Ongaro.
That's because if you look at the track, that's the dustiest part of the whole track.
And then Ongaro was fast everywhere else, I think. Faster everywhere.
Not the hairpins because his car pushed so bad.
Well, near the end. But, I mean, did you see when he came out of the bowl turn, like that long berm turn? He must have just got a few inches outside of the line, and the back end just came right around. Because it's so and how he brought that back around, I have no idea. That's when I thought he broke his car too, Joseph. When he came out and he went straight in and ran right into the pipe. I was like, no way. And then, I don't know, man. They both made mistakes on pit lane. They was trying to overtake, like Lutz was trying to overtake him, and he bumped him a few times, and he waited. So, great sportsmanship. They both waited for each other. I mean, maybe maybe Lutz shouldn't have waited. I don't know, but he did. I just thought it was a great race right to the end, man. And Lutz did a great job of hurling him off, man.
Yeah, the waiting thing is tough because there was one situation where Ongaro actually made a mistake, and that's why Lutz barely touched him. Like, I don't think you need to wait in a situation like that.
I don't either. I wouldn't.
But in that situation, he should have actually just kept on going because Ongaro was sliding all over the place and went sideways and lost forward momentum. And Lutz actually tried to avoid it. They barely touched, and Lutz could have just gone. Like, it wasn't his mistake. Like, he didn't take Ongaro out, but it all happened so fast. So I guess drivers tend to think it's safer to wait.
Yeah,
not me.
Yeah.
So anyway, about the tire choice also, the thing that surprises me is they must have known that they will probably be slicks by the end. And also, that track, for a long main like that, it's dry at the end of the day, and it gets really dusty. So it actually gets loose during a long main like that. So it was just a really strange decision, I think. They know the track's going to get loose, and they run the smallest pin tire in clay compound. It's just...
Well, That's
It's
why
amazing.
that's why I said I made two comments on Facebook. One was experience won this race.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Lutz's willingness and to say, I don't need to have the fastest car. I just need to have a good car and my experience will pay off. And Ongaro, I believe, was a little too cocky in the fact of saying, I can still run this tire. Even when it is slick, I can still stay in the groove and be fast. And he was. He turned the fastest lap of the race late, like right around that 35 minute mark.
Yeah, and the problem was that he had to race Lutz. I think if he had been able to get away in the start and had a 15-second lead or something, yeah, he would have probably won because he would have been smooth and just, kept his rhythm. But now he actually had to battle someone. He had to,
and that's probably why his tires went away.
And then he had to try and catch Lutz once Lutz was ahead. So just messed everything up for him, and he couldn't hold on to the car anymore, trying to, do his best laps and catch someone. He could have done really fast laps and just maintained the lead. I think he could have done that. But to try and beat someone in a head-to-head race, he couldn't do that with that car. They set the car up to be very loose anyway. The suspension is quite stiff, so it doesn't roll and move a lot on the track. And the rear end is quite loose. It slides a lot, under normal circumstances.
Right.
So it's a car that you have to be very precise and on your toes like a good driver to drive it consistently and be fast. So then with the tire choice and track conditions and the fact that he had to race someone, it just was too much even for him. So,
Yep.
I agree.
That's what I think.
I agree with you totally, man. And I think
And actually, one more thing. I think Lutz's car actually looked really good. Like
I thought so too. I thought it looked good.
Really good everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think now, okay, let me ask you this question. So Lutz has driven the car for a while now. He's got several months on it. So it'd be a fair assumption to ask this question. Which car do you think Lutz is probably more comfortable driving? The Techno or the Agama?
Well, I would have to say the Agama. I say something about this after the China race? I asked you to keep
I forgot.
But I guess you forgot.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said I made a comment about Lutz being fast, and then you said something like, well, he's always fast, or he's been fast in the past. And I said something about it being different, like he's faster now. I swear I said something like
I'd have to go back and look it up. But he looked good, man. He done well.
I think he drives. I think he's more aggressive. Like that. The thing I noticed with Lutz lately is he seems like he drives a little more aggressive with the Agama than he did with this Techno.
Maybe he feels more comfortable with it, that he can get away with the aggressiveness as well. Like the Techno, I've never driven one, but I know it's another very precise car, and you have to be. You have to be really on it. Like, you can't, I don't know if he probably just feels he can just be much more aggressive. It's more forgiving than the Techno. I don't know. Maybe he got my pep talk.
Definitely. It's 100% it's going to be more forgiving. It's a wider weight distribution and longer arms, C-hub style front end compared to the Losi style, so it's going to be more forgiving.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next question is Lutz is showing success with the Agama, and I know early on in the silly season talks when we were talking, is Lutz going to be able to bring sales to Agama? So now he's got a big win under his belt. Is this going to help sales, or is it going to be just like in 2 weeks from now, everybody's going to forget about it and it's just another nothing thing?
Well, if he maintains his pace. So if in the next races he's in the mix, like he's a factor, I think it will begin
SilverState
affecting sales.
Yeah.
SilverState will be the next one, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to SilverState.
Yes, I believe so. But with that said, the presence that Nemo, well, they sponsored this race. I mean, Nemo is based in the UK. I think the presence they had 35, 40 drivers there. They were all wearing the shirts. They had the tent set up. It looked good. It looked great. Like,
Yeah, all wearing the shirts except Lutz.
Yeah, but
I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe because he has to have his other sponsors' names on there, like Futaba and.
Yeah, then he could put them on the team shirts.
Well, maybe they didn't have time for that, Joseph. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure they signed him last year. I'm sure they had time.
Oh, shut up. I think Nemo looked good. They look great over there. You know, that's their base, UK. They're popular in Europe. They're popular in Asia. Yeah, we have to wait and see. He made us eat crow because we all said that he probably wouldn't win a race here or whatever. Well, not win a race, but we said it would take a long time for him to do something.
Didn't we have like the Lutz versus Tebow thing?
Yeah, we did.
Too?
We
did.
So
SilverState, we'll see.
Well, you know, the question comes is how major is this win? Like, it's a big win because he beat Ongaro. And it's a big win because he's the only U.S. driver at this race, and he beat all the European guys. But in the grand scheme of things, is this win equal to what? Like, if say he goes to Silverstate and he wins at Silverstate, is Silverstate a bigger win than this race?
I would say yes.
Yeah. But if you look at it, you have Ongaro, Canas, Boots, Figueredo, Bertone, and I'll even throw in Cragg in there as top European 8-scale drivers. And Cragg is like kind of on the end of that. The only other fast European guys that weren't there were Ronnefeldt and Badier.
Exactly. Who is always at the top in Europe?
Ronnefeldt and Badier.
Okay, they weren't there.
Yes, I agree. That's what I'm saying. And then we'll throw in Mayfield, Ty, and Tebow, and who else can we put in there? Tebow, Bornhorst, and
okay. So if you take Silver State, right? Mm-hmm. Silver State, you're going to have Mayfield, Ty are going to be the number one, number two drivers there. That's fair to say?
Yeah.
Right? So out of that, and then everybody else is kind of equal to the level of talent that was at the DXR race. So if you take Ongaro, who is the number one driver there, so you only really are missing that number two guy opposed to the two races.
Mm-hmm. Well, then Silver State won't have like Ronnefeldt or Badier or Ongaro, but they will have Ty. I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. It's a hard call.
If you're comparing drivers and you say Mayfield and Ongaro are equals, and then you have Ty, and then there's nobody else at the DXR race. So he beat Ongaro, but if he goes to Silver State and he finishes second behind Mayfield, is that second equal to this DXR win?
I don't know. That's a hard call. That is really a hard call. I think I'm not taking anything away from this win because it's still great, but I get your point. And I don't know. We have to wait to Silver State and see what happens. It's going to be a completely different type of track. It's going to get rough, and I know it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. I have a question before we move on or close this up. Does this, like, it seems like two things. Does this show chinks in Ongaro's armor? Like, he's beatable. He got beat at DNC, and he got beat just now in DXR. This is showing people that he's not invincible. He's still young. He's still got a lot of time.
He's still learning.
Yeah.
I think his biggest problem at this race was being too cocky and too overconfident with his tire choice. Mm-hmm. If he would have played it safe and went on the same tire that Lutz went on, and they talked because they're both sponsored by AK. So Lutz is talking to Joel and Gil, and they're telling him, giving him recommendations on what tire to run. They're doing the same thing to the world champion, and he's choosing to do his own thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just a maturity and an experience thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I have another point, and I'm probably silly thinking this. I think him not having headsets played a big role in this as well. I might be crazy, but I think they don't allow the headsets because they are using BRCA rules, which doesn't allow the use of them. But in an indoor race where you can't really hear and all that type of stuff, like there's headsets, and he's one of the type of drivers that's kind of grown up. I wouldn't say grown up, but he's been using them for quite a long time. That might have played a factor in it somehow, some way too. Just a thought.
No, I agree with that. It could be, who knows what they talk about on the headsets, but maybe he's a kid that needs to be told, calm down, chill out.
We all know somebody who likes to freak out on those headsets, don't we, Jeff?
Oh yeah.
He wouldn't be talking.
Just shut up and drive.
Yeah.
One thing that I actually thought while watching the main, before I knew anything about tires or saw towards the end how it got really bad, and then knew, okay, so it has to be tires, was early in the race, he looked like he had everything under control, and he started making mistakes, which he normally doesn't do. And what I commented to someone was, maybe he's just not concentrating, well enough. Because you think about it, he was fastest the whole week. He TQ'd every single qualifying round. And at that point, for him, he is normally racing Ronefalk, Robert, Mayfield, the elite drivers. And the elite drivers weren't there. And he was winning every time he hit the track. Mentally for him, maybe he wasn't quite there because he didn't need to be. It's like, well, I'm not saying like in an arrogant way, like I got this, whatever. It's just that mentally it's like the challenge isn't there. Then you don't go into the race with the same mentality. Like it doesn't mean as much to you. At least I can notice that for myself. I'm nowhere close to that level, but I just mean that if I'm racing some like local club race or Finnish national or something, the way I approach the race is very different to if I'm racing the Euros or the Worlds.
I agree
it
with
means
that.
different things to me. So if he was viewing the race as, well, like whatever, just let's go race, and then suddenly Lutz is right there, and he can't shake Lutz, then it's like panic mode. His car is loose, and then it just all crumbles. So I think all these things play a part. Tire choice, maybe no headset, but I think the fact that the elite drivers weren't there to push him, he won every time he hit the track. I think maybe going into the main, he just wasn't as focused and motivated, and like it's just different. And I think all those small things play a part.
Yeah. How about the world?
I agree with that.
How about the world championship curse?
That doesn't exist. It's bullshit.
All right. Okay, if you say so. But congratulations to Ryan. Congratulations to Billy Tylaska. Congratulations to Nemo Racing. They did. I know they're on cloud 9 right now, and they deserve to be. And I'm happy for them. And kudos to all you guys. You look good out there. You won, and that's good. That's good to see, man. It's good to see. And hopefully, I think I'm gonna try and get Lutz on there to talk about it. When he gets home, he gets settled, spend some time with his family. He said he'll come on and he'll talk about his race, so that'd be cool. So we guys done talking about this? Anything else you want to add before we end this?
Yeah, there's one more thing, because I know you're not going to allow me to rant about this. I'm going to have to talk about this.
Oh, dear.
We had a track cutting incident.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Now, I'm going to admit that it was a relatively minor one this time, but it's still significant. So, at the very left side of the track, there was this big double. Do the double, you land, then there's the hip jump, then there's the single into the tight right-hander. You remember that section?
Yes, Joseph.
Okay, so you do the double, and then what happened? Crash over the hip jump between the pipes.
Yes.
So what happened? Ongaro was behind Lutz. Yeah,
Yes.
It was behind Lutz.
No, he was in front of Lutz.
Was he in front of Lutz?
Yes.
Okay, he was right ahead of Lutz. Crashes between the pipes. Doesn't go back, do the single, do the right-hand corner. Waits a bit, Lutz goes by, continues behind Lutz. Everyone's just fine with that. That's okay.
Right, and when Lutz jumped off the track off that big step up and rolled to the bottom, they didn't allow him to miss that little corner. They put him back up.
I remember that.
Top of the jump.
So anyway, people say, "Oh, that's fine. He waited, whatever." No, it's not, and this is why. How the race unfolded now. I mean, it didn't really matter at the end of the day. We don't know how things would have been different if he had gone back. Lutz would have had a bit of a lead. Probably he would have made a mistake. We don't know. But imagine it's the last lap. Imagine that's the last lap of the race. And Lutz had been the car that was behind Ongaro when he continued. Ongaro would have maintained the lead, finished the lap, and won the race because he cut the track. If he had turned around, done that single end corner, paid for his mistake, he would have finished second. So those situations matter because if it's okay when it's in the middle of the race, it needs to be okay on the last lap also. That's kind of my point. And I don't think people would have looked at that and thought, oh, it's okay, if it had been the last lap and he had won the race.
Understandable. And it was also, to think about it, he really couldn't get back to the spot that he came off the track on. It would have been impossible. He would have had to been marshaled to get back.
No, yeah, he could. Oh, he could have got back.
All right. I don't know. Wait.
He could have got back, or he could have driven towards the corner, or there's number of things.
There was cars coming. He fell off a bank.
He could have got back.
Shut up.
Put it that way.
Anyway.
I would have done the same thing as he did. I'm just saying. But it's not right.
But a lot of things in the world ain't right, but that's how things happen. So, Jeff, anything you want to add before we end on this?
No, just the fact that yet another race that American wins. So much for your thing on Euro guys are faster and better.
It's 2-1.
Yeah, I guess it's
2-1 right
2-1 now.
Yeah. Because you got to count in the Chinese race that Lutz was at.
I'm just pointing it out. I'm just saying.
Who's the current world champion?
Still has the best racers in the world.
Well,
Lutz wins a race and suddenly you have the best racers. I like that.
No, it's interesting. Unfortunately, I think we have the RCGP and the SilverState coming up, and it's still going to end up being, unless Cole pulls off some miracle race, it's gonna be 3-2 going into next weekend.
Well, obviously, okay. So even the RCGP, obviously, it's going to be a race between Ongaro and Ronofalk. Maybe Battier will be in there too, but there's no Americans. Cole's not going to be able to compete with those guys. He's just not going to. I like Cole. Cole's a great dude. He's fast. He's not on their level. So yes. Some Euro guy is going to win RCGP, but it's SilverState. It's going to be an American win in that. No Euro guy is going to win SilverState.
What Euros are going?
Boots, I know that.
Boots, that's all I've heard. I don't know who else is going. I don't see why they wouldn't bring Berton over. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. But once again, congratulations to Lutz. Congratulations to Billy and Nemo Racing. You guys done a great job. And experience paid off and perseverance paid off. So good job, guys. Good job. And what an exciting race. Congratulations to DXR. The DXR guys, they put on a great race. And thank you to RC Racing TV for bringing that awesome coverage. And guess what? We get to see that again next weekend. So it's all great. But in the Philippines.
Hopefully the RCGP will have better scoring because, that scoring they had sucked.
Yes. I'm going to check on that.
Yes, you might want to check on that.
Congratulations to Agama, too. You didn't mention the car brand.
I'm sorry. I forgot to say Agama. I always relate Nemo with Agama. Sorry. Congratulations to Agama on your win. Tushihara is going to Femca this weekend as well to race. Should be good. He'll be racing an Agama at RCGP. So all good, man. Lots of racing coming up.
Someone get lots of team shirts. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff, for coming on, and thank you, Joseph. We're going to finish with this, and if you guys are... Anyway, it's on to the rant.
What's going on? Just get the words out, Lefty.
Oh, shut up.
Are you trying to multitask again?
Oh, stop your noise.
He's trying to sound smarter than he really is.
Can we just go into the rant, please? Thank you.
This is Ryan Lutz, and you are listening to the No Name RC Podcast.
And today's guest, on quick notice, and I appreciate him coming on, is the 2019 DXR Dirt Kings champion of Nitro Buggy. Well, they only had Nitro Buggy, Mr. Ryan Lutz. What's up, Ryan? How are you?
I am doing wonderful, Keenan. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. First off, congratulations to you. Probably one of the best races I've ever seen. I was stuck in my couch watching it on the big screen. I wouldn't move. It was that intense from start to finish. Congratulations to Billy, because I know he's elated and is smiling. And also congratulations to Nemo Racing and Agama for this. This is a big win for you, for them. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were the title sponsor of the event. And I mean, I didn't know I was going to go until probably 3 weeks to a month before the event, just being Easter weekend, hard for me to get away from family. But being my first year with Agama and Nemo, and that being their home base there in England, I kind of felt, I needed to go, and I'm just glad it really worked out for them.
yeah, and they looked really nice. I mean, I watched the pits. You had 35, 40 guys there. Everybody was wearing the shirt. Actually, I have to ask this question. I'll ask it at the end, but it was one of Joseph's questions. He just wants to know why you don't have a shirt like them. And
all their shirts, what's under the Nemo banner, they have Agama, Bullet, but then they also have their Piranha Fuel and Beta tires,
Right.
which I don't run for. So all their shirts are made the same, and all the guys that they run and have on the team are basically running all four of those products, whereas I'm not. So
I explained that to Joseph, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't accepting that as an answer in typical Joseph fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, the pits look great. Everybody was together. The social media aspect of it was really great. Like I believe, I don't know his name.
Mark Rumble.
Yes, he was really good on social media. He's the European manager. He was, he was doing a great job of that. Like just like little things that I like to see, like going to eat together and pictures of the pits. And this is a very comfortable race as well. It's easy to plan things. Like it finishes at 5, 6 in the evening. You can go out to have a good meal, enjoy your evening, and then you don't have to wake up so early in the morning. So good stuff on him as well. Just the whole...
Yeah, a lot of the guys on the team, they had campers there, including John Hazelwood. And so they had a little corral out back where they made a square, and in the middle they had tables all set up and chairs. And after the race day, we'd all go out and hang out, have barbecue, and just have a good time. So it was really awesome.
Yeah, that seems to be, I mean, it happens in America too, but it seems to be a European thing. It seems like it's definitely a big event, and everybody seems to have fun. And usually, like I said, races are done in time where you can enjoy yourself. So,
yeah, I talked to the DXR guys about it all, and they said that their main goal was to have the race, end early. They wanted people to be able to do that after the race and to make it more relaxed, which it definitely was. But at the same time, they still had their tight schedule that they followed throughout the race that you always knew when you were up, and that's always awesome as well.
Yes, it was. I mean, they did maybe 10 minutes late at some point, but I think they had a cushion where it was perfect, So kudos to the DXR guys. They did a great job. I said it in the recap that I recorded with Joseph. I didn't really like the track at first. It was, it's super technical. Like myself, I wouldn't have been able to drive that, but in the end, it made for some exciting racing when it grooved up and whatnot. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's start with this, because I actually missed this and Jeff brought it up. He talked about your Facebook Live where you talked about your tire choice and whatnot, where you went out, you was going out on zips and downs. So how did is this from experience, from you just coming to this race so much and knowing the dirt that you knew that was what you was going to run?
No, it kind of came about, I feel things happen for a reason. And in the last, the week before I came out here, Gil had been telling me that he was running zips in the front and double downs in the rear at home in California, and saying he's really liking this combination, and saying I should really try it sometime. Well, I go to the race, and the Killick brothers from Germany were there, and I brought a couple clay typos for Burek, the older brother, but Burkhand was pretty much running super soft, long wear, double downs the whole time. And as we got into the second day of qualifying, his times were really getting faster, and he was doing really well, while the clay tires were kind of getting harder to drive as the groove came up more. So they had one extra set of double downs, and I had happened to bring one set of zips for some reason of super soft long wear. And so I was able to make two sets of the same thing. And having in my mind what Gil had told me, and knowing that the double downs were good, but I know zips take away a little bit of steering, and this track is aggressive for steering, I knew that could be a really good combination. So I decided for the sixth qualifier to try it. And Ongaro was still on the clay typos, and I was able to be within 300ths of his fast lap. And so I knew my pace could still be there, and I knew my tires would last along main. And another thing, I let Billy run a set of clay chain links, I think in the 5th or 6th round, and I noticed they were starting to wear straight down versus wearing at like a 45-degree angle, meaning that they were more wheel spin instead of, more traction. So I thought, it's maybe time to go to more of a standard compound versus the clay, because this year they let the track dry out more. They didn't water it as much at night as they had previous years. And it was also, 20 degrees warmer there than normal. It was in the 70s versus in the 50s or 40s. So many factors led it to dry out more, which gave it a little bit more grip and more groove earlier. And that allowed the super soft longwear compound to be able to be really good at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a picture of Ongaro's tires. He went out on clay typos, I believe, and they were gone. Like, there was no tread left in them. And I think it's actually, we made a good comparison about that. We actually think he became too cocky and was like, I'm not saying that he was cocky, but just he was like, I can do this on these tires no matter what. Because I think
he won on them in 2017.
Yeah.
And almost all of us chose to stick with the clay typos in 2017.
Yeah.
And they did go bald, but they were still fast. And
yes.
He still was fast with them in the main. But I saw that the track was drier this year, and there was a little bit more potholes, a little bit more dust. And I'm like, if I can just stay with him, I'm going to get him out in that dust, hopefully, and he'll be a little bit inconsistent.
Yes. Well, let's talk about this intense 45-minute race. I said when Jeff made a comment on Facebook about you, and I said, Ongaro's dominating, and then you came on and you said yes. And I call it a little pep talk, but I'll be honest with you, Ongaro was dominating up to that point. He looked untouchable. You was right behind him, but you was the only one I think that had anything for him. And I said that on the post. So the start of the race, I watched it. He does his normal thing. He gets out in front, and I'm like, okay, here it is. He's like slingshot engaged. I'm going to put it into like hyper mode and just go. And I thought that was going to happen till he made that first mistake.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, this is going to be a race. And it's so amazing to me. I feel you guys kind of copied each other's mistakes. Like, you made a mistake going into pit lane. He made a mistake going into pit lane. Like, you guys just like seem to just follow each other the whole race. And you as well. Like, I think at one point you waited for him twice. And I think one of those, when you waited for him, you didn't have to wait. I can't remember
the
which
second
one.
I didn't have to. Rewatching it a couple times, he was loose, and I thought he was, but I don't want to ever win like that, so I'm fine chasing and just letting it play out.
Yeah. So when did you when he got out to that first lead in the first few laps, what was going through your mind?
Well, I knew he was out like 4 to 5 seconds, and even then I wasn't too concerned. I'm like, okay, because I was still trying to find my groove, trying to get my rhythm going. And I'm like, if I can just, keep it within 10 seconds even, I'm like, I just feel like he's going to fall off the last half. Like, I just really needed to stay in touch for the first, 20 minutes. That was my goal. And when he made mistakes and I got to stay really close, that was optimum there.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you guys just battled for entire 45 minutes. I wouldn't even say, I would say 40 of the 45 minutes. That was insane. I don't know how you guys kept up that pace.
Yeah, I've rewatched it twice. I watched it from 1 to 2 a.m. The night before I left, and I just finished watching it 20 minutes ago as I was writing my blog to make it more accurate. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the first 10 minutes or so, it was mostly his race. He made his own mistakes, which let me come in. And then about that 20-minute mark is when he gave it up, and then we started swapping the lead a couple times on our own mistakes. I mean, the track was difficult. It's very aggressive on the steering. The rear kind of likes to walk and step out a little bit, and it's easy to make mistakes. And we both made our fair share, and it made it for some good racing, though.
Yeah, you seem to be considerably better on the left-hand side of the track coming. Like, he was really fast coming through the chicane after the straightaway. And then, but once you got to the bull and then that jump, that section before you went to the dragon's back, or the steps. See, my birds are so excited. They're chirping away. They're like, we know what you're talking to Ryan Lutz. So I got some cockatiels outside there. They're like, oh, you're talking to Ryan. They're going crazy. But, yeah, I found you considerably faster than him on that section. He was faster in a lot of the other sections too. His tires went in the 180s at the end. That's where his car pushed a lot. Yeah. And I think in the end, he went out on that choice of tires thinking, I'm going to get in front and I'm going to lead this and then I can conserve my tires. But once those mistakes were made and the race was won, he actually burnt up his tires, like trying to catch you and overtake you. Like when you're racing somebody, you have to drive so much harder. But experience paid off, dude.
Yeah, and it's interesting that top left section, where I did seem to be faster in the main, because I actually had at least 2 people message me during qualifying saying that the line he was taking over there was a lot faster than what I was doing. So I happened to watch a video the one night and tried it, and I just wasn't comfortable with it, and just stuck with what I was doing. And I guess in the main it turned out to be faster for me.
Well, your line was safer. He was doing that hip jump, turning, whipping it, and pretty much landing on the almost on the down grain of the like going out of the corner. So when he got it right, it was fast. But if he went wide, it was just and he got out in that dust, it was impossible. Yeah. So you kept it like on the line. And then I think one of the heartbreaking mistakes was when you actually, on that same section, you fell off onto the other side. And I was like,
I lost focus there. I just, for whatever reason, just lost focus and just jumped way inside. I tried to turn it too much in the air and just missed by 5 feet.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I say this, like my buddy hit me up, is like, so let's beat Ongaro straight up. I was like, yeah, but please go watch this race because it's one of the best races you've seen in a long time. And it definitely was entertaining. It was emotional. Like I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat. Like my friends hit me up afterwards, like, what? That was just crazy. And for you, like this is what I mean. You've won a lot of truggy races. You won a lot of Ebuggy races. You've done well at this race too, and had heartbreak. Like I remember you was leading once, and your engine blew or something happened in your
engine bearing, yeah.
And it's like you've always been a bridesmaid, never a bride, but you won this time. And is this this is like one of your biggest, or if not your biggest, nitro buggy race?
I've been trying to think back, and I won like Psycho Nitro back in 2017, and that was against Mayfield and Cavalieri, Joe and Tebow, and I mean that was a good win.
Yes.
And then there was the 2014 Dirt Nitro Challenge in Italy at Padova. Okay. And I won that race, but this race, I think, it probably tops those just because of the coverage and the amount of people that were watching and how good the race was the entire time. Those races didn't have the same, I guess, coverage yes. maybe.
And it was great. Like that's what I think a lot more Americans are getting in tune with RC Racing TV and their coverage and the racing that's going on in Europe, which is something good as well. So a lot more people were tuned into, I think a lot more Americans were tuned into this. So it was great, man. And it was kind of like a for you, I think we feel that you're able to be more aggressive with this car than you was with the Techno previously, and it's kind of showing in your driving. I mean, yes, you've had some bad luck. I think at DNC, your rub screw came loose. Yeah. SIC, you ran out of fuel. China, you went out on the wrong clips, and
I keep trying to feel like all these. I've had the pace. I've been there at all these races just to start off the year. I've only been driving Ferragamo for 4 months. And I'm like, easily, I could already have 6 wins. Really, I mean, not everything but Nitro Challenge. I had the opportunity to win, and it's just been stupid mistakes basically on my part. And I'm like, I just feel like I need to keep telling people, I'm like, just give me a minute, just give me just a little bit more, and it's going to come, it's going to happen. And finally I was able to make it happen this weekend.
Yeah, man, it was very impressive. I guess my next question to you is like, is this like the "I told you so" to everybody, or is this has to feel like the monkey off your back and be like, oh man, I'm so relieved. You must feel relief.
Yeah, there's definitely some relief to it. It just I've felt it coming, at all the races we've been to this year, and it's. When it doesn't happen and you have to live with that for the next week or two until the next race and try to, you almost feel like it's a grind and through all practice, all the qualifying, and then you're finally back in the A main again. Okay. And it's like, all right, here we go. We have another opportunity here to make it happen. Let's do it this time and not waste this whole weekend that we've just put all this time and effort into. Mm-hmm. And it was able to come together this time. How do you,
driving this car compared to your Techno, what do you feel is different?
I feel like you mentioned, I can drive it a bit harder. I can be a little bit more aggressive like I used to be. And then I think a really helpful factor was about a month ago when I was at the race at Thornhill, the RC Pro race, and I had Gil Losi out there with me. And he's like, you need to drive to win. And because I've, for the last few years, been driving not to crash. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you need to drive to win and just forget about it. If you crash, you crash. It happens, but go back to driving how you used to drive to win. And so I've flipped that switch. That's what I'm doing now. And hopefully the results will come.
I said that to you in the podcast too. Time to give him a wheel. Racing. Hey, and you did, man. You crashed, but you came back, and Ongaro crashed. And we kind of mentioned like Mayfield, Runafalk, and then guys not being there. And well, they weren't there, and that's obvious. Not everybody can be at the same race. But you had Ongaro, you had Boots, Berton, Canas, who came out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from to finish third.
Now he was hanging out 5 seconds back for most of the race, and then he was on like a lap later pit stop strategy. Yeah. So he would always he'd take the lead for a lap, and then he'd give it back at that moment. But he took the lead, I think, legit for a second, but then he crashed in front of Ongaro on his own. So I think he got nervous there for a second and made a mistake, and then he'd stay, that 5 second back again.
I bet you couldn't relax until you got that last lap and Ongaro got caught. You was like, you probably like, I can breathe.
I was really hoping that I'm like, come on, clock faster.
What do you, this is the, the world champion, the fastest guy in the world right now, let's say. What do you think? He's showing some chinks in his armor. He didn't do well at DNC. He didn't do well. Well, he didn't win her. I guess we expect him to win everything, and that's impossible.
Exactly.
And people have to understand that's impossible to do, is win every race.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, he's being the world champion. You have that onus on you. Everybody does expect you to win everything then, and it doesn't happen. It's not, to be expected out of somebody like that. But he's always going to be fast, and he always is, and he's always there. And so, for an old guy like me, just to be able to keep up and battle with him the whole time, and take a victory from him, that's great.
Yeah, you done that, man. Another special mentions I like to mention was that impressed me. Was out of the Nemo camp was Burak. Well, actually both. I've known about Burak and Berkan from a while, talking to Max. I watch a lot of European racing. Burak's really fast. Berkan is, I think, the younger of the brothers. Yeah. And he's not bad at all. He's coming, but Burak is coming to his own. He's going to start making a name. He's already making a name for himself, but he's going to make an even bigger name. I'm interested. I'll be watching the Euros and other races that he goes to here coming up. Johnny Skidmore done well out of you guys' camp.
Yeah. There was many of the guys. They were amazing. They have a really, really good young crew there, and they are getting fast.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of young, fast English guys too. It was full of young, fast English guys as well. Callum Niblett, Jack Hurst. He's like, I'd never heard of him until this race, and he done well. It was for people who say this wasn't like the. It was definitely a top of the line. It had all the fast European guys there besides Runafalk and Badier, and it had a lot of young, fast, up and coming races that are gonna be fast when they get a little older and they start racing a bit more. So I think there was a great race. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Billy. Now you go to Vegas next week. So Let's talk about that a little bit. Are you ready for Vegas? Like, this is going to be a completely different track now.
Yep, it's if it's similar to last year, I love tracks like that. They get blown out, rough. That's right up my wheelhouse. I was really successful there last year. Had a little bit of bad luck again in Ebuggy. I was right there running top 5. It was like a 5-car breakaway basically for 3/4 of the race, and I was within 4 seconds of the lead at that point, and I had a servo go out. Truggy, I was there. I chose the wrong tire, but still got a 3rd. And Ebuggy, I was able to win it pulling away. So I definitely am excited for SilverState. I think that facility is amazing. I enjoy that track last year, and if it's anything like that, look forward to having another great event this weekend.
Yeah, and you're going in on a high, and that's always awesome. And I'll be there. I just found out yesterday that I'm going, so I'll see you and Billy there, and be able to watch some great racing as well. And it's gonna be interesting because now you're gonna have like Mayfield and Tebow and Ty and Bornhorst and all the guys you race against regular, but you're coming up if this you're confident, you're good, your car is good, and this is your type of track, so it should be interesting. I don't want to make any predictions on anything until I get there and see how things go. So good stuff,
It'll be
man.
a good weekend.
Yes, and I know, like, how was it after the race when you got to like all these people, like you won this race for all these guys. I know it's emotional. These guys were behind you all weekend, and I just couldn't imagine how everybody felt in that camp. Hopefully I feel like that one day. But how was it for you afterwards?
Was amazing. Coming off, or even on the driver's stand, Skidmore was up on the driver's stand when I won. I was coming across for my final lap, and he's hanging over the driver's stand, pumping his arms, like so excited for me. And then Ongaro giving me congratulations right away. I mean, everybody was so kind. Come off, and everybody's giving me high fives and hugs and everything else. And then I do the interview with the RC Racing TV guys for a couple minutes. And then I walk into the hall where all the pits are. And everybody just stops what they're doing and starts applauding and cheering. It was just like, I started crying a little bit. It was just so amazing, so overwhelming, so humbled by all of that. And yeah, the Nemo crew, Billy's just like looking at me all googly-eyed and happy.
Well, that's great because, you are one of the most liked guys in RC. I think people consider you, I guess, an underdog at some point, and everybody likes to see the underdog do well. I wouldn't say you're an underdog because, you definitely have the talent to do it. Just like all of us, you're getting older. You have other responsibilities as well, and that comes into play. But yeah, congratulations. And hey, I was really shocked, and I was humbled myself. Joseph says I'm using the word wrong, that you gave the Nitro as a Glory shout out. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. That was shocking.
That's what came to my mind right then. So I know you love the Nitro Buggy, and I'm just glad to do well in Nitro Buggy.
I enjoyed this race, man. I really did. And before we go, I need you to do one favor for me because this is my buddy in Bermuda. You met him at PNB, and he is he is like the biggest Agama fan ever, and we constantly get in arguments on like WhatsApp. But he's a good friend of mine. Can you please give him a shout out, like say what's up, Quincy? I done it, something like that for him.
What's going on, Quincy? We did it, man. Nemo Racing Agama, baby.
See Abba, I think about you too, right? All right, don't say I didn't say nothing about you. But I appreciate you coming on. I know you're tired. You want to spend some time with your family, but the grind doesn't stop. You got to get ready for next weekend.
That's right. Got 3 cars to rebuild and bills to pay. So here we go.
All right, dude. Well, enjoy it. Oh, I meant to ask. We was having a bet on. Are you gonna auction off this trophy or are you gonna keep it?
I said I was going to. They have to ship it to me. It's really heavy, really big. But I mean, truly, I hope that John Hazelwood bids the highest on it. So I can send it back to England for him. Yeah, should be good, man. Congratulations, man. And that trophy's awesome. I don't know if I would auction it myself, but, I know how it goes, man. And, I'm sure Hazelwood would like to have it in his trophy cabinet as well. So, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Billy, Hazelwood, Nemo, and Agama. And thank you for your time. And I'll see you next weekend. Thanks, Keenan. Thanks for having me on, and we will see you at SilverState. All right, buddy. Have a good day. Thanks, you too. Bye-bye. Bye. Now we go into the JQ Racing Rant. Now I'm going to put this disclaimer every week before the JQ Racing Rant. The JQ Racing Rant is sponsored by JQ Racing. We do what we want, so should you. So sometimes the language gets a little foul.
We rant about stuff, but we try to offer solutions. But I understand that some children listen to this podcast. So if you have, if your children and you're listening to this podcast and you don't want them to hear the rant, that's fully understandable. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. If your podcast listening ends now, if not, enjoy the rant. Let us know who wins, and thank you for all the support. It's overwhelming, the support that we're getting for the podcast, and keep on listening and keep on liking and sharing, and just without you guys, we cannot do it. So your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all, and remember, Nitro is the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bills.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
So now we enter the JQ Racing Rant. Remember, this is for big boys and big girls. So if you don't like cursing, you don't like joking, then maybe you shouldn't be listening to this part of the podcast, because we try to keep it 100% in this part. And because it's sponsored by JQ Racing and the motto is, we do what we want, so should you. So we're going to do what we want. So as usual, we have Jeff Keaton and we have Joseph JQ, a.k.a. the village idiot, the guy who almost got trapped in an earthquake but didn't really get trapped. Quagrain. And you know what? I'm starting off the rant this week, because I have a rant for you, Joseph, and I figured it out. I told Jeff about it the other day. I figured out why you dislike Ebuggy so much.
Wow. Okay.
Wait. I got to ask a couple questions. One is, where did this epiphany come from? Like, you've been searching for this answer to this question, why he hates Ebuggy so much. You've been searching for it forever, for as long as I've known you, and you finally come up with the answer. How did this answer come to you? Where were you? Were you sleeping? Were you banging your hot wife? What were you doing when this question came to you?
Well, I don't know. I just said I want to piss Joseph off in the next rant, because, he really pissed me off this past weekend. So I know this is going to piss him off, as I know a couple other things that are going to piss him off, but this will make him angry. So the reason that Joseph doesn't like Ebuggy, and he hates it, and he doesn't want to put it on the contingency, and he doesn't want to talk about it, is because, one, it's the class he's really good at and the best at in, and two, his Ebuggy's really, really good, and he doesn't want to admit that.
So he designed a better Ebuggy than he did a Nitro Buggy?
I think but the Nitro Buggy's good, but the Ebuggy's really good, you know what I mean? And people like it. And he's better at Ebuggy.
And you think he drives the Ebuggy better?
Yes,
than you do.
He does better with the Ebuggy than he does with the Nitro car. And that pisses him off, because Nitro really is the glory, but he doesn't have it in Nitro anymore. And Ebuggy's, he's faster in Ebuggy.
What you say is true, but it's not the reason.
Oh,
but it does piss me off. Everyone's like, "Oh, your Ebuggy's so good," or this or that. Especially in the past, when before the Black Edition, when the Nitro it wasn't as good as it is, the Ebuggy kind of was. So people always liked the Ebuggy.
Yeah.
It was kind of annoying.
But that's not. You also are really good at Ebuggy racing too.
Well, I think that's just because every time you pull the throttle, the same thing happens.
Yes.
Whereas in Nitro, every time it's kind of different. So you have to react more in Nitro, or how can I say, like improvise more. What's the word?
Because I'm not privy enough. I'm not good enough, and apparently I'm not on the team, so I haven't got to see or drive this new car that he's been working on. I've still got the old shit, but the old shit to me is good. Like, I think the Ebuggy I have now is good.
Yeah.
And if he's redesigning it, redeveloping it, and to some new car that I guess there's some floating out there, but I mean, how is it better? Like, how is the new car better than the one that I have?
Good question.
I raced the new car for the first time at DNC, and I was pleasantly surprised because my development work into Ebuggy was that, basically. So I designed the parts. I made the wheelbase the same as Nitro, 3mm chassis, moved everything a bit further forward to lengthen the rear dog bone a bit, and lowered the center diff a bit to reduce the angle on the rear dog bone also. And just like kind of basic sort of things that made sense. So a long front brace so the chassis wouldn't bend too much, bending the dog bone, and, so fix the problems that we had with the old one. Made the motor mount stiffer so it wouldn't flex, flex or bend, actually, changing the gearing or bending due to the motor weight. So fixed all those problems, threw it on the track, drove it, and it was actually a lot better compared to the old one for me. Like, I never even really liked the old one that much, which makes it even stranger when people say they liked it. So it's just, it has more grip, it's more stable, and that's it. I think the whole Ebuggy thing is just because they tend to be heavier and lower center of gravity. So I think that's what makes them good.
Well, I can't wait to drive it one day.
Well, I know Ebuggy pisses you off almost as much as the violin. So, Yeah.
Well,
see,
the violin doesn't.
See, he went quiet there, Jeff. He doesn't want to talk about the violin. Don't mention the violin.
Yeah, don't mention any violins.
By
the way, talking about pissing off, you know what I'm good at? Triggering people. Because did you see how I managed to trigger people by one sentence, like 7 words or however many, I can't remember. It was the whole RCGP thing, like everyone is, they're making a post about all the drivers and their numbers and why they picked them. So the numbers are like from 2 to 99. 1 is for the champion and just 2 digits, but I picked 100. So I just wrote like, why did you pick 100? I just wrote because I can. And I purely did that to trigger people, and it worked. Can you believe that?
I don't get it. So, okay. This will be, hold on. Back this truck up a little bit. This is a whole going to be a podcast rant in itself, because I agree with you in the sense that I don't freaking get it. Like, you can make a post, and not just you. I've been accused of doing it, and I've seen other posts and all that stuff. The problem, one of the issues with social media today is that people see a post, and in your case, they're going to see that you posted something, and I don't think they actually fucking read the post. I think they say, oh, look, Joseph posted something. I'm going to go in there and be negative about it because I hate this guy. Like, I don't think people actually take the time to read the posts before they make a comment. They just kind of glance over it and summarize, and they interpret the post in what they feel it needs to be or what it should be so that they can respond to it in a negative way, which is freaking crazy to me. I don't get that. Like, I made a post a while back too where, it was a nothing thing and it turned into be something. You post that stupid meme you did with you and freaking Jesus on Easter. Like, to me, that's a nothing post.
Brian,
oh my God, it brought out every religious person in the world who freaks the F out. And it's like, why? Why do those people even take a second out of their day to comment on that? Because they're trying to offend you or they're trying to piss you off? Like, don't they realize that you're not going to get pissed off over some post that somebody does? Do people not understand that you have, first of all, you have to have feelings in order to get an emotionally invested in something. And you, much like me, have no fucking feelings. Like, it's just not in your DNA. You don't feel shit. Like I have
I do.
feeling,
but not about
I have
irrelevant
one feeling
things.
in my life, and it takes a lot for someone to actually touch that feeling. I don't think you have any. I think you are incapable of feeling anything. So if somebody's gonna make a post on your original Facebook post trying to offend you, they're idiots, because it's not gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna get upset over it. You're doing this shit to get a rise out of somebody, and they don't understand that. They don't have enough common sense to say, oh, that's just Joseph trying to start some shit again. Rather than comment on it and feed into your ego of that, they're going to comment on it and feed into your ego in it. It's just like, I don't get it. I don't get people why they do that.
It's as high. And you know what? Speaking of that Easter
Don't
post, that
go into some addiction rant again. Really.
Because that's the truth and it irritates you, but I'm not.
Okay, another prime example is I made a post. I made a post about Lutz winning, right? And it was that trophy post. So it was like, oh, look, an event with actual good trophies, right? Who got pissed off at that? Like, that's a nothing post. That is, to me, that's not a dig on a race promoter or anything. That is just an observation for me saying, oh, look, here's an event where they actually gave good freaking trophies. And who got pissed on that? Dave at Race Time. He got pissed over that post because he felt I was digging on his races. But it's not just him. The DNC, Joey, they give shitty trophies. I guarantee you they're going to give shitty trophies at SilverState. Dave gave shitty trophies at PMB. I mean, all these race promoters nowadays are giving away shitty ass trophies. And I just made a comment. Oh, look, here's a race with good trophies. Maybe the Europeans know how to put on a better race or some shit like that. And actually, I was trying to put a dig into you for saying that all your races are the best around. But he took that personal, like I was digging on the PMB, and it wasn't. But
I had the same thing happen to me.
It did spark a good conversation
just a few days ago. So the whole if I ever design a 17.5 C hub, shoot me post, right?
Oh my god! Yeah, I read that. Yeah,
I'm like, then Billy got mad from Agama because Agama released information on their new car and they have a 17.5 C hub. So he took it personally. I don't think he even designed it, but whatever. But I'm like, no, that's just a general post because all the car companies are now designing 17.5 C hubs because HB won the Worlds and they had a 17.5 C hub, industry standard. Like everyone's had C hubs like 15, 16, 18, 20, whatever. Oh, so now suddenly you have to go to the 0.5s because HB won the Worlds and they had a 17 point. Like, no, a 16, 17, 18, that's not going to cut it. We have to make 17.5 because HB won the Worlds. They have a 17.5. So we're going to need a 17.5 now. That's gonna do it. You know, and I just saw this trend like Kyosho releasing 17.5 C hub. I'm like, what's it? Oh, TLR 17.5 C hub. Everyone's just, let's make a 17.5 C hub because that's going to fix our car. So it was just like a general post, but then one guy takes it personally, like, okay, so this has to be targeted at our company and our company. No,
right.
It's just a general thing.
Yeah,
it's
funny how people just, and you know where that comes from. What I think it honestly is it's like when, you know, a lot of people, especially on social media nowadays, they're going to make a post and it's some code thing. Like if you unfriend me, you're a piece of shit or whatever it is. So then everybody that ever thought about unfriending you, or they're going to read into that and be like, oh my God, they're talking about me. Or, you know, if you have like some sort of like a pissing match going on with somebody, they're going to assume that post is about them. And then they're going to read into it. And most people that do those generalization posts like that, like just like your 17.5, it's like, you're not basing it off of one company or one thing. It's just your view of, if I make a 17.5 hub, shoot me. Like, big fucking deal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just people are very quick to take it personal, like it's directed towards them. And 99.9% of the time when somebody posts something, it may be directed at one person, but it's never the person that gets the most offended over it.
I mean, I'm a champion at this because I can post pretty much anything, and then people say like, "Why do you hate America?" It's like, what do you mean? That whole country got triggered? Like, that's crazy.
Well, see, they don't. What they
the
don't
same
understand
thing.
is
That's basically the same thing as the C-Hub thing.
Yeah, I mean, people don't get it. It's not that you don't hate America; you just hate everybody. You know, that's the difference. It's not you're not racist. I've never thought you being a racist person. You just genuinely fucking hate everybody. So it's not like you're not gonna X out one particular race or one particular country. You want to just piss on everybody's grave. It's just who you are.
He's an equal. He equally bashes as many people as he can. You know what?
Right.
I tell people all the time, and I'm over it. Like, I'm tired of people getting upset. People's like, "Oh, he shouldn't be doing this. This is blah blah blah." At the end of the day, you should shut up. We all know that. That's your personal Facebook. You're a man. I can't control that. It's very simple to solve that problem. If you don't like people don't like what you post, all they have to do is not follow you anymore and not be your friend.
I tell this to everybody. I preach this to people that and I'm not as bad as Joseph is now. I used to be. I used to be worse than Joseph, right? And that was always my 1-2 thing is if you don't like it, upper left-hand corner, there's three little dots up there. You click on that and a little drop-down menu comes down, and then there's this big fucking word in bold letters. Big bold letters. It says block. Push that button. And the minute you push that button, you don't listen and you don't hear and you don't see none of the shit that I post. It's easy. It's an easy fix. It's the 3 little dots on the upper right-hand corner. Push that pull-down menu, hit block. Done.
It
You don't
actually
have to worry
works.
about it anymore.
I don't go that far. I just unfollow people who are too dumb for life. Like the posts they do, you can just tell that there's nothing going on up there. Like their servos and gears are definitely broken, and receiver packs have dumped, and lipos have blown up a long time ago. It's just so obvious. So it's not even worth it. Just
And they're running
unfriend
Red's
and
engines that
unfollow.
flame out all the time.
I didn't say that. And so it definitely does work, because then they're just out. I never see their posts again, and I never need to make a comment and get a response and get into some completely futile discussion.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
get it.
you succeeded in
I've
ruining my
never
Easter
understood.
Sunday. Thank you, Joseph. I already talked to you about that. Anyway.
But I will say this, at least with Dave in my conversation where he did get a little upset over my post about the trophy thing. And his points were in that argument was that, he had the picture of the DXR podium, which there wasn't one. It was 3 people standing in a spot with the Nemo Racing banner in the background.
Yeah, that was a bit lame, to be honest.
And then he had a picture of the PMB podium, which was freaking badass, right? And he's right. So the aesthetics and the atmosphere that Dave puts on at the races is far superior over anybody else. And I always give him credit over that. And I just made the comment, but you fell short on the fucking trophies. How
about they combine? DXR has the trophies, and PMB had the backdrop and the atmosphere.
So, but I think that the good that came out of it was at least Dave is acknowledging that maybe his trophies weren't the best in the world, and that yes, he's going to look at doing something better or different in the future, at least for the winner, if not the top 3. And then this was the question I presented to him that I would like our listeners to chime in about, because this is an important subject. Is we went from top 3 in America races. We went from top 3 to top 5. So at all the major races now, it's the top 5. For me personally, the top 3 is all that freaking matters. And I told Dave, I'm like, I would much rather the top 3 get really nice awards than the top 5 on the podium. And he said that I was in the minority, that most people that attend his races all want top 5 awards, and they're okay with cardboard or, whatever bullshit that he's giving out now. And I think more people would be more excited for a really cool, unique award that's going to last and look good on a mantle or somewhere in your house that demonstrates all the hard work you put into it in a top 3 position than a top 5. And so I'd like to know what the listeners think. Would the listeners rather have a top 5 podium but shitty awards, or a top 3 podium with good awards? Like,
for RCGP, we'll do top 3 and have nicer awards.
I think it's nothing wrong with having top 5, but I definitely think that the top 3 in each class should get a nice trophy, and then give the rest of the guys like the cardboard stuff. Like we used to do it back in the day. Like the people that were in the mains, you got a plaque or something, like a wooden plaque. But I tell you what, if anybody can build some badass trophies, I'm pretty sure it's Dave, because I'm sure he's going to say, I'm going to show you now, Jeff. And he's going to build some badass. I guarantee he's going to make for AMS, the trophies are going to be badass. Watch, because
he should.
I hope so.
He's creative.
That's the only thing lacking at his races, and not just his, but I'm even talking the Nitro Challenge. The Nitro Challenge trophies this year sucked. Like they were. I think they were as bad.
They sucked for so long. I mean, it's a balancing act. We all know why this is, right?
Well, it's over money, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's money. So, yes, the race organizers, promoters, they have every right to make money. But at some point, you have to question, like, how much is enough and what should they give back to the races? Like, what should they be providing for the races? And I think we reached the point where they kind of went a bit too far. So by trying to maximize the money they can make, that event suffered from a races standpoint. You have to run multiple classes. You don't get track time. You don't get trophies. There's no air compressor. There's no tables. There's no chairs. There's no extension cords. There's nothing. Like, you have to bring everything, provide everything yourself. You get a track. Sometimes it's built. And it's just like, come on, guys. What are you doing here? And I think we are slowly kind of getting back to how it used to be, where there's a bit more to it. So it's a bit more of an event, and they have to put a bit more effort into it. And I think that's a good thing. So, yeah, the organizers need to make money, but they also have to provide something of value to the races, I think. And, I mean, just the conversation now about what the value of races is, I think it's a bit skewed when we're talking about, but P&B has 24 hours of practice. And now, even better, I thought, SilverState has a practice track. Pay $40 and you can practice all week long. It's like, why are you going to the race? I thought the best comment, Eddie Larrett, I think, commented on Facebook. He was like, yeah, he's going to get the practice and just like practice all week. Like, that's great value. I'm like, yeah, you're going there for a race. Like, the value should be the race, not the fact that they have another track you can practice on. You can practice at home. I mean, it's great, so you can tune your engine and that kind of stuff, but that shouldn't be the value of the race, that there's a track that you can pay an extra $40 to practice on. That's ridiculous.
I saw a guy even post that says, screw the race, I'm going to just go there and pay the $40 and practice all week. Like, why the fuck are you going to go to SilverState just to go practice?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how people are thinking. I don't get it.
Well, guess what? I'm going to SilverState, and I'll tell you guys how it works.
Okay,
maybe you should bring your car and you can practice.
My car is dead.
I am going to be very, very interested to see how this plays out over this practice track, because if I'm assuming everybody that goes there is going to pay the $40 to go on the practice track. I mean, but now there's several problems that present themselves. One is you're going to have someone there to monitor who goes on the track at all times, right? So like however many hours that the arena is open from start to finish, you're going to have someone standing there monitoring it. Otherwise, people are going to watch that. And us racers, we are the most try and get away with any fucking possible thing we can possibly do, right? And so the minute we sit there and we're watching as racers, we're going to be like, okay, there's the person monitoring. How can we get around them? How can we get up on the driver's stand? How can we screw Joey out of this $40? That's what everybody there is going to be thinking. How can we screw him out of this $40 and get on that practice track, right? That's going to go. That there's 50% of the racers there are going to be there doing that.
Yeah, Dagani.
Dagani is not going to pay for the practice fee, but he's definitely going to practice. Okay,
he's going to get on that track. So if they give a bracelet, right? I'm assuming they're probably going to give some sort of bracelet or driver stand pass or some shit. So what are they going to start passing this driver stand? Like, I'm really, really, really going to be interested to see how this plays out, because it's going to cause problems. People are going to bitch. It's going to cause, how are the lines going to be? Is there going to be lines to get on the track, during the event? How's even the driver stand? Like last year at SilverState, they didn't even have a freaking driver stand, right? They stood in the stands and the bleachers.
Yeah.
So like this year, are they going to have an actual legit driver stand? Or are you standing in the bleachers again? That was the biggest bitch that I heard from all the drivers last year, was that there was no driver stand.
Where's this practice track anyway?
It's
same hole next.
It's
to
where
it's on the other
they
side.
had the fifth scale track at last year.
But I mean, he was supposed to have a practice track. The practice track actually became the real track at DNC. So he was going to implement this at DNC. I don't know. It's how how it is, Joseph.
Yeah. Let's not reduce entries and give people more track time. Let's build a second track where they can practice.
And charge them for that, too.
Yeah, I guess people had to fall for that. Oh, I get great value. I ran all day.
This is why I'm saying us racers, us RC car, toy car enthusiasts. Oh, wait. How does Keenan say it? Scale modelists.
Scale motorsports.
This is how fucking smart we are. We're not going to bitch about, let's have a better event. Well, let's bitch that we got to pay another $40 to go on a practice track that has nothing to do with the actual race itself and why we spent $1,000 to go to this event. We're going to find a way to bitch about this $40 practice track.
Yeah, I'm running 3 classes, paying $270 or whatever, and I'm fine with that. But now I have to pay $40 for practice. That's like the last straw. I don't know. And then others are like, it's practice. You should 5 days for $40. It's a good deal. Yeah, you already paid $270 for 3 classes. You're paying over $300 just to go one race. Then what if it was a race with quality track time and everything? Would you pay like $300 for one entry? No, people would complain.
Well,
yet they do it for a race like this.
What's funny to me, this is what really cracks me up, is you can see the different people that are bitching about that. So you have like Brian Lewis, who is in huge support of this. Like he went on this Facebook post on Jimmy's Facebook post forever about how it's, he's there, Joey's there to make money and it's his track and his rules and we just support him and it's just $40. Who cares about $40? So like, all the people that are sitting there saying, it's just $40. Who gives a shit about $40? Those are all the guys that have more money than God, right? Those are the guys that can they piss $40 when they walk across the room to go take a shit, Those guys, they don't give a shit about the $40. It's all the guys that are scratching every dime and nickel that they have just to freaking get gas to go to this freaking race, to pay the $100 entry. Those guys are the ones that are struggling to come up with another $40 to be able to go on the practice track, that if they don't get their practice track, if they don't get to play on it, then they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. And that's why I didn't make the main at the SilverState, is because I didn't pay the $40 and go on the practice track for 5 hours. Like, it's just fucking stupid. It just
but Jimmy Babcock wrote on Facebook that it's a genius idea.
Well, yeah, because he's getting paid to be there. Joey can post that, we're going to charge you to use the restroom, and Jimmy's going to say, "Yep, I agree with that one too," because
that's a genius idea.
Be there.
Yeah, that's a genius idea because everyone has to use the restroom.
I gotta check this out because I missed all of this. Was this today?
This is on Jimmy Babcock made a post about it. So you'd have to go on Jimmy Babcock's.
Okay.
I think he shared. No, what he did is he shared the DNC practice track thing.
Well, I guess we have to wait and see how it goes. I don't know how they're gonna monitor it because, man, it's how monitoring the races, like the practice at P&B and stuff.
Look at the expense. Okay, so they're paying Bobby Moore. Last I heard, they're paying Bobby Moore to go out to SilverState. They were going to pay Levi Jackson, but apparently he can't do it or didn't do it or some shit. So then Joey called Bobby and said, "Hey, can you come out and build this practice track or some shit?" So I'm assuming Bobby's the one doing it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that was the last I heard. So they're paying Bobby Moore to go out to SilverState to build this track, putting Bobby up at a hotel. Now they're going to have to pay some dude to monitor this because they're going to be practicing freaking as long as they can. And if someone's not there watching, people are just going to be randomly going up on the driver's stand. And the first time somebody goes up on the driver's stand that didn't pay their $40, oh my God, like all hell's going to break. Little Johnny over there, that kid right there, he didn't pay his $40 and he went on the driver's stand. So fuck it, I can go too. Just going to floodgates are going to open on that.
Is E-Clip going to this race?
I don't know. I'm sure. I wouldn't surprise me.
We'll probably have a Facebook Live about the practice track gate then.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear about this one. So, Keenan, you are definitely going, right?
Yeah, I'm going as of today. So,
all right. Well, we're leaving it up to you to get all the drama and all the good shit about the practice track.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to go though. To be honest, see. It looked pretty good last year, the racing itself, and it's good. The Ghani's going to be there. The guys from New Mexico are coming up. A couple of guys that were at P&B are going. Mike Hill's going to be there. JB's going to be there.
Is he going to fly another drone?
No, I don't think.
Who's he going to try and hit this year with the drone?
Gosh, I don't know.
He'll maybe he'll go after Mayfield this year.
Oh gosh.
Mayfield will throw a bigger temper tantrum than Bornhorst did.
There will be no drone flying by anybody. It's too small to fly drones there. Not by anybody that I know anyway. So,
oh, come on. We can talk JB into doing it.
No, he's not bringing his drone. It's gonna be pretty fun. I'll be doing that and watching RCGP on the phone, hopefully. So should be good. Should be good. Well, that was actually a funny rant. I'm going to have to go find it on Facebook and see what it is. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it works. That's all we can say. I get you guys' points, but we'll see how it works. I think it's going to be hard to monitor because I see guys skipping lines and all that stuff at open practice.
I would rather pay $40 and have them post results and have a compressor and all that stuff at the races. Maybe a table and a chair,
No, I think
doesn't this race have tables?
Yes, it has table and chairs. I believe they have a compressor. So yeah.
No, I don't believe that. They definitely not post results or heat sheets. I'd pay $40.
It's on Live RC.
I would pay $40 to have a schedule so I know when I race.
Yeah.
I'm up at 3:30. Okay. Yeah, I'd pay for that.
How much was the entry fee for the DXR? Anybody know?
Well, how much was previous Neo?
Maybe what was it? Maybe $150 or something.
No, it was more than that.
Remember.
It was more than that.
Was it more?
Yeah, I remember Neo being like 100.
Or maybe 150 pounds.
Yeah, 150 pounds, which was almost maybe $200, like 175, which sounds like a lot of money. But if you run 3 classes, that take.
But that's what I'm saying. So they ran one. It's still gonna be.
But they ran at DXR. They ran one class, so it was less than 200. Like once, we'll just say 175.
I don't know. Right? I don't know. I'm just going on previous what Neo Buggy charged back in like 2017, 2016. I don't know.
And
how
Joey's
much...
at $100 at $100 an entry, right?
Entry fee is 130 pounds. DXR.
Okay. I don't know how much. I think Joey is at 90 for. He was at 90 for DNC.
PMB is. PMB's 90.
Well, think about it. Like Salty Joe ran 5 classes at PMB. That's a lot.
That's a lot of classes, man.
You ran 4, so think about it. So.
I know, and that's hard. Like it was hard to keep up.
Yeah. So
130 pounds is $170.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there we go. U.S. promoters, you can charge $170, run less classes, and then you don't need the crazy entries.
Yeah, and you can actually go to bed at night.
I honestly think they get off on the crazy entries. Like I really think that there's a little competition between Joey and Dave between who can get more entries. I really do. I think. But
basically, that's a race to see like who can be like, Legends class. Oh, I added some entries. Like, who can think of the most ridiculous additional classes and ways to get entries?
Yeah,
that's a dumb competition to have.
But again, we're stupid. I mean, we racers are stupid because we're the ones in there paying it. And we're the ones that sitting there saying, yeah, I think that this is good to go to this race and sit around for 6 hours to race.
Maybe they should have a competition to see who can charge the most for their races. Like, who can have the highest entry fee.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then we would know.
Well, I'll be there, and I'll let you guys know. I think it's going to... Oh, shut up, Joseph.
Actually, you know what? I think they have a new
Ebuggy.
It's who can have the most practice and least racing. I think that's it. And I think Joey's trying to win. He's like, look, I only give all races 8.5 minutes of track time, but I built a second track for practice. Beat that, PMB.
Yeah.
we don't have just 24 hours of practice. We have 72.
Yeah, we have 3 days of practice.
I mean,
that's right.
And realistic
2 hours of non-stop practice with 8 minutes of racing mixed in.
But
good measure.
At the end of the day,
and a 10-minute main.
No, that's including the main 8 minutes. That's your qualifying and main.
You guys are brutal. You guys are brutal.
Yeah, but you don't have a schedule, so you can't really go and enjoy yourself because you don't know when you're up.
Well, I don't know. We'll see how it works.
You know what? You know why they do that? You know why they do that? Just so you have to hang out at the track, and eventually you're going to have to use the restroom, and then Jim can charge you.
They're going to start charging for restroom.
Yeah.
All of this so that we can go win a cardboard cutout.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
You get a cardboard cutout of a dirt girl. That's the trophy this year, I heard. Full, like, and the winner actually gets like a full scale one. 1-to-1.
I wonder if it's more blow up. At least that would be cool.
No, cardboard cutout.
See. Now we gotta buggy this. You guys are gonna go too deep. Well,
if it was a blow up,
that's said.
If it was a blow up, I would totally sign up and go.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God. We definitely have to end now. It's getting personal.
All right, guys.
See, Jeffrey just doesn't know when to stop.
Yeah, I thought you was bad, Joseph, but Jeff definitely goes over the edge. All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you for your time, Joseph. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate all of you that support the podcast. I know you guys probably missed us for the week we took off. But hey, man, I needed a little break, and everybody needed a little recharge. So we got a lot of racing coming up. We got SilverState next weekend. We got RCGP next weekend. And then it's not too long after that. We got the Nationals. We got AMS. Race season is in full effect. So we will be in full effect, and it's going to be great. So thank you all for tuning in. And remember, Nitro is the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bill. Oh, hold on. We didn't even mention... Hold on.
Who's making a shirt?
Hold on. We didn't mention my shout out that Lutz gave me on the end of his interview. That was so awesome.
Oh God, yeah, that humbled you. You need to learn the meaning of the word.
I felt humbled because
Did you shed a tear? Did you shed a tear like Lutz did when he walked in the arena and everybody clapped for him? Did you actually listen to that and like? Did your eyes water up like you actually accomplished something in your life?
But I thought it was pretty cool of him to say that, and now we need to make the
You
t-shirt.
felt the opposite of humbled, probably. You felt like also like happy and elated and like stoked and proud.
Right, but it's
all those feelings. But I mean,
I don't know. I don't. Maybe
humbled.
maybe I used to humbled. Like it's humbling that somebody who could recognize a slogan that I made up a few months ago. Like, you know what I mean? So.
No, I don't.
I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, you don't know anything about being humble
I think
anyway.
It was cool.
You don't know anything about being humble anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. It's
Yes, I do.
I thought it was cool, and thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. I was shocked, but anyway, Nitro is the glory. Ebuggy pays the bills.
Well, we know they pay Jimmy Babcock's bills.
Anyway, see, Ebuggy, you all have a good evening. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/The Quay Grain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, Nitro is the glory.